What people do you think are the oldest on the planet? We assume that half will answer about China or India, another part about ancient Russians, and the chosen ones will go to Australia. For the locals, non-contact tribes, and all of them, including ancient Russian fans, will be wrong. Because there are 100,000 people on Earth, which one, almost in the same form, has been around for almost 100,000 years. They have the same language, same customs, and even the genetic code is isolated and hardly changed. These people seem to conserve life and genetics. The ancient hunters, collectors, and brought it to modern times compared to them. Ancient Egyptians, Romans, and even Chinese. These are children just born. Who is this mysterious ancient people? Almost certainly you've heard that name because it's about Bushmen. According to scientists, the oldest tribe on the planet, just because that taking for comparison the DNA of the first Homo sapiens, highest number of matches with here will be exactly Bushmen. This tribe literally opens a portal to the past. And as you already guessed, we will talk about Bushmen in the next couple of minutes. Now, they live in the territories of South Africa and the largest population in the Bushmen, where the hands of the colonizers reached. The Bushmen we kiss start with the base, and the base is that Bushmen are a generalized name about which controversy still boils to this day. Bushmen for the kindness of the sole Dutch colonizers named representatives of the tribes Soenar, Soonmasarva, Basarva, Koa, and Khoi translates, as well as Bush people are heard. And still, no one can decide, is this an insult from one side? Kinda looks like a dismissive colonial nickname besides cutting everyone under one comb. But on the other, people of the forest or steppe, not such a bad alias. Elves won't let you lie. It came to that. What? In 2003, a special conference was held on this occasion where tribal representatives were called. They stated they prefer to be called by tribes, but if it's impossible, insults in no word Bushmen. No one sees in his equivalent of San. So for convenience, we will continue to use the term Bushmen. And let's go to 150 or even 250,000 years ago, exactly there, when modern man was in its infancy, the first ever race split happened. From the common tree stood out Kaishan racial group, and everyone else is Asian, Africans, and Europeans. Another 100,000 years, and it won't smell. Actually, Bushmen right now, this is the Kaishan racial group. What makes them truly unique? It's literally a look in the mirror at that our ancient ancestors looked like. Like we said more than once in past videos, they were not close to Africans. This race stands out much later in the early 20th century on that Bushmen are really different from Africans finally paid attention, and DNA research tribe Verglacus in ecstasy. Because Bushmen, officially the most genetically diverse population, not wise. Because again, the races living in Zimbabwe and Norway appeared by historical standards yesterday. And Bushmen lead and develop the genetic code with of time immemorial. Actually, on AI chromosome, Bushmen carriers of only one group, and the other one they physically don't have. Although these groups are several dozen. And the answer is simple because all these few dozen are mutations. And the first most purebred homogroup is Gestrahia, and geneticists even call the closest common ancestor of all living people YAI chromosomal atom, with group A DNA confirms that Bushmen is the most ancient guys. Their tongue also left not far. Bushmen speak one of the dialects of Kasand languages, which sounds like the ancestor of beatboxing. And according to a study by the journal Nature, language is preserved because of that at least the last 30,000 years, Bushmen lived in total isolation from the rest of humanity. Thus keeping your unique language with clicking consonants which are found nowhere else in the world except at Bushman neighbors. But there was no isolation and their languages changed great. While among Bushmen, even though there are scattered tribes, everything is one, and everyone can understand each other, which gives scientists reason to believe the oldest languages sounded roughly like a modern Bushman, a little harder with culture. We're to confirm then that Bushmen still live the same way, like their ancestors tens of 1,000 years ago, is harder. They have no writing, but there is something better. Drawings here. Sudnasas came to the rescue of scientists. They are in Bushman drawings, honked back, and that's on being traced at 1,000 and tens of thousand years in the past. Style, materials, and drawing stories are also united, from which scientists draw a clear conclusion. Modern Bushman lives also how his ancestors lived at least 30,000 years ago, but like maximum 100,000 and up. And here we come to the main question. How did they get that? It seems that in the colonial era, man shoved pens in any area of the planet where there are at least some resources, and even the Kalahari Desert, where the Bushmen live, no exception. There are people in it. People are also a great resource, called slaves. According to this scheme, we did not count dozens uncontacted tribes disappeared in the hands of progressive colonizers. But Bushmen still survived, and their secret is pofism and love of freedom. From century to century, in the form of people from the outside world, Bushmen didn't listen to them, no matter how sweet the speeches are. Jans Bier in The Lost World of Kalahari detailed dozens of cases when Bushmen tried to catch contact. They turned around in response and went into the desert, with each contact further and further by they've gone so far that even prepared people go into the wilds. Deadly Kalahari. It was dangerous at Detchue and survived. The noble Johns in search of slaves were not eager to risk their ass and let the colonial era population of Bushmen cut to exterminate them. Never happened, because the desert is deadly to humans for Bushmen, home native. This is just the case when the joke is about Leslie and Nilsson about the most necessary in pants is not a joke. In a small bag on the belt stitched from antelope leather, the Bushman man fits everything, what is necessary for a comfortable life. Tools to create a bow from a bush arrowheads. Set for breeding, fire, and parapauls. That's the actual whole gentleman's set, because in that, how to suck all the juices out of the desert. Bushmen are unsurpassed masters.
Burying them underground. Dry seasons dig up the semblance of wells and tubes through the mouth, pump water into all the same eggs. In general, if you need a test drive, life hunter-gatherer, then to you to Bushmen. But look at them from high is not worth it. Bushmen full of serious scientific knowledge, especially in chemistry, where the tribe actively lubricates arrows with diamphotoxin, cunning poison to obtain, which needs to be specially treated beetle larvae and amphibid according to the same scheme. Bushmen know a lot about antidotes, too needed in their region, and sometimes even titled. Doctors turn to them for help, because is better than Bushmen. In Kalahari Desert, no one knows. Also, no one on the planet makes a fire better Bushman. Not checked here, but experienced travelers declare that Bushmen can get fire literally out of nowhere and almost blindfolded, who up to everyday life. Bushmen live in small tribes for several families. No chief, only healer, which for obvious reasons stands slightly above the rest. All important decisions are made by voting. Where do women have a full voice, and even children can insert there? 3 pennies usually involve moving decisions because in first place, Bushmen do not stay long. Hunters-gatherers like no way. They have no agriculture, but there are women who, while men are on the hunt, picking berries, tubers, roots, and everything that lies, badly seeds from anthills, go to porridge on sweet fried locusts, an insect larva as a snack. Sadly, Bushmen have nowhere to hide from modern man. Out of 100,000 mentioned representatives of the people, only 3,000–4,000 still lead the same lifestyle. Yes, and then just because what? Are activists fighting for this, they knock out the government, all necessary quotas, and protect Bushmen from outside influence. The rest of the people voluntarily, forcibly touched. Civilization. And in Botswana, now commonplace is Bushmen on bike pulling booty to camp. But literally 23,000 years ago, Bushmen were the largest ethnic group in the world. In 2014, a study was published in the journal Nature, claiming that for 150,000 years exactly, Bushmen representatives dominated the earth and were the most numerous race. 22,000 years ago, the total number of all the other people exceeded the number of Bushmen. Unlike their European and Asian counterparts, from periodic extinctions did not suffer. We talked about this in the disaster video Bottleneck, but suffered from problems living in the north and in Africa despite climate change, always maintained a living